I got posed with the question this morning, how can we please God? Like, that's probably the $1 billion question. But it was amazing because I was on my walk this morning. And as I'm walking, what God was asking me is like, how do you think you can please me? And I started thinking of all these different things, coming in this way, that way. What could I do? All these rituals, all these religions that I've heard about. And people tell me that if you do this and you do that and you do this, or you think this way, or you make your mind powerful, that will be a place where you'll please God. And it was amazing because I went to the Proverbs today, Proverbs 21, the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. And you know what he said? Just do what I tell you to do, and you'll please me. So today, the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, 3,000-year-old wisdom is all about how we can please God. Let's get this party started.
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I climb. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never know, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
So on my walk this morning, I got a call from my son, Maddox, and he was frantic. He was asking, Dad, do you know where my bag is, my basketball bag? Because it has my PE clothes in it, and it also has stuff for video, the video class that he takes. Well, I was like, I don't know, son. And what happened is that God just had me slow down. He said, slow down a little bit, and he just reminded me. Inchstone, 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 little tiny things. So as opposed to getting frantic like he was in the morning, if you have kids, you know exactly how this is. They're looking for their backpack, they're looking for their shoes, they're looking for whatever, and then they start to kind of get out of sorts a little bit. And what God said is, son, listen to me, calm down, focus in on the inchstones. What the inchstone was, it was that little tiny thing. So I started asking him questions. When's the last time you saw it? Oh, it was on Friday. Who'd you go home with on Friday? Oh, it was you, Dad, on the bike. I said, no, I was hanging out with Uncle Will and Uncle Rob. So who took you home? And he let me know that Luis, our neighbor down the street, had taken him. And I said, well, son, could it be in his van? And so I stayed calm. And what started to happen is he started to stay calm. But it was those little tiny inchstones. And so today, when we're talking about pleasing God, one of the very first things is to be able to just calm down a little bit, to calm down a little bit and realize that it's going to be the inchstones, those little tiny inchstones, that will make all the difference in the world. And so when we look at this thing, when we look at our inchstones, those inchstones of how I can please God are like this. Number one, check your heart. In verse number 2, it talks about this. In verse number 2 of Proverbs 21, it says, a person may think their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs your heart. Verse number 2. The second thing is do right. Like do the right thing. It's better than sacrifice. And this is in verse 3, 15, and 27. In verse 3, it says, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Very, very simple. How can I please God? Be content and avoid pride. This is probably one of the toughest things that I've ever done is avoid pride and be content because I constantly want the other thing that's coming. And so in verse number 4, it says, haughty eyes and a proud heart, the unplowed field of the wicked produce sin. He also said, when I asked, how can I please you? He simply said, diligent work. Now, diligent work is right work. How do I know what right work is? By spending time with God and just asking him, what do you want me to do today, right now? And in most cases, he tells me to slow down, just to slow down and to realize that, you know what? Things are going to be okay. There's no challenges outside of him. And when I look at this, diligent work is in verse 5, verse 6, verse 7. And what else he told me was to walk upright, make friends, make great friends, and be one. Pay attention to the wise, be generous, take thought of the future, which is prudence. To love God first, that righteousness and love equals prosperity and honor. I thought that I needed to do something. He said, seek wisdom at all costs, speak life, put in the work, listen carefully, and all of these mean nothing if you don't add the secret ingredient, which is a true relationship with him, in verse 30 and 31. I want to read you verse 30 because this one hit me quite hard today. It said, there is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. And so when I look at this, how can we please God? This is the $1 billion question. This $1 billion question, even if all the most righteous tasks and systems come into play, will prove to be futile without the right relationship with him. This poses the question then, what is a right relationship with him? This is simple. Spend time with him, talk to him, and listen. His yoke is light, and he wants our attention. He will do the rest. He will cause you to check your heart, do the right thing, be content and avoid strife, be diligent, walk upright, make great friends and be one. Pay attention to the wise. Be generous. Take thought of the future, to love him first, that righteousness and love equals prosperity and honor, to seek wisdom at all costs, speak life, put in the work, listen carefully, and to realize that nothing will work without him. He will give us the Inchstones, and the first one is to simply give your attention, even if for a couple of minutes, to him. We can please him by spending time, and he will do the rest. As I wrote that this morning, what God was telling me is we could have all the tasks, which he'll help us with the blueprint, but none of them mean anything without him. So the simplicity of it is to do the right thing is to spend time with him and find out what that right thing is. And I want to encourage every one of you out there that it's just the little tiny Inchstones. It's just the little tiny moments that you spend with him that he'll give you the inclination. He'll give you the inclination through a text, through an email, through a person walking up. But we have to be present in that moment for that moment to have magic. And it doesn't matter all the tasks that we do if we don't add him to it. He is a secret ingredient that makes everything okay. And I tell you, my mom was baking cookies when we were kids, and I didn't realize that she didn't have one ingredient. She got done with the whole thing, and she went to give us the cookies, and she said, I didn't have vanilla. And we were like, vanilla? You only have to put like a little tiny teaspoon in of vanilla extract, and she didn't put it in. And those are the nastiest cookies I've ever had in my life, and I remember them like they were yesterday. They tasted like wine. They tasted so nasty, and it was because one little tiny ingredient. And what I want to encourage you is it's not that you don't do the systems. It's not that you don't stay disciplined. It's not that you don't do all those things. But when you add that little secret ingredient of a relationship with God, what will happen is his yoke is light. When we give him our attention, he'll give us all these things. And when he gives them to us, guess who we have to give the credit back to when we're telling someone else about our success? We can't beat our chest and tell everyone that we're the greatest in the world. We simply have to point to him and say, well, if you follow him, everything will work out for you too. My name is Kelly Cardenas. This has been Proverbs 21, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and so.